Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Matt from Hey Now Media, and you're listening to The Matt and Matt Show. Recently, we asked our LinkedIn audience to submit questions that they had, and we would answer them here on this podcast. As owners of a marketing company, we get asked questions all the time from our friends and family and clients on how to grow their company, what different marketing tactics they should use, how to brand themselves. And a lot of those questions are the same questions that our extended audience on LinkedIn and everyone else that we know has as well. And so we love answering those questions, and we love getting the questions as well. And so we started this podcast, thought we'd bring the value to everyone we knew and not just that individual person. And so on today's episode, we got a question from Jeff Statz. Jeff's a local marketing executive. He's the head of marketing at Talent Launch here in Cleveland. And he asked us, how many marketing programs did you not execute and why? I've seen many marketing plans with awesome campaigns that end up never getting launched because business gets in the way. And well, Jeff, that's a really great question. We definitely experience that all the time. It's actually something that when I get this question, I immediately think of Hey Now Media and all of the marketing campaigns and things that we've launched over the years, and campaigns that didn't get launched. And so, Jeff, this is actually a really great question. The first thing that comes to mind when I get this question is sort of our own experience with Hey Now Media and what happens. We actually, over the last, it's almost been 2 years now, have come up with probably 6 or 7 marketing plans, sales plans, all sorts of ideas on content we're going to create and things we're going to document and pillar pages and paid campaigns and sales enablement. And they're actually really awesome plans. And like the question kind of leads into, business gets in the way. As a small company, we have 8 employees. We are very cautious of how many new clients we take on. We really look for best fit clients. And for us, if we're getting a couple new projects every month, we're growing pretty steadily. And so we're very focused on delivering the best results to our clients and kind of have our heads to the ground when it comes to our clients' work and making sure that we are just providing the best value possible. And as we start to grow and scale, we decide we want to launch campaigns and we look at, okay, how are we going to grow? What's this look like? Let's launch a marketing campaign. We build it up, and then we get those couple sales in the meantime, and we decide to slow down on the marketing efforts because we really don't want to take on too many clients at once. We want to do the proper attention and work it takes to help these companies grow. And so we don't want to drive mass volume to our website, and so we kind of pump the brakes. And so it's been a very interesting focus for us on managing our growth and not launching campaigns because we build campaigns to grow and then we grow without launching them sort of organically, and that's been very manageable for us. And so we haven't really pulled the trigger on major marketing campaigns for ourselves. I don't know, Sobol is sitting here laughing as I'm talking, so I'm curious to hear what he's thinking here.
Yeah, I'm laughing because it's completely correct that we often have kind of fallen into the same trap that we'd probably suggest our clients don't do for our own business in pumping the brakes. And I think that in 2020, we are actively trying to kind of just run more steady, consistent marketing campaigns and content, and this podcast is part of that. But yeah, you know, we have tried to manage our growth and hold back on marketing campaigns that might lead to high volume for us in order to provide the best results for our clients. But I think that that's a debatable conversation of whether or not us getting new sales should be a trigger for us holding back on those campaigns.
Right.
Sometimes it's a matter of us needing to dedicate our energy to those new clients and to those new accounts and to providing the results because we're a small service-based company. And so that's part of why the campaigns don't necessarily happen in the same way that maybe they could.
Because basically what's happening is we're doing sales and we're jumping from the sale to building the strategy of the project as the owners. And so we get this lull in sales. And so then we start to think about, once the project's onboarded, we move back to sales, and we kind of have this ebb and flow of not having consistent, steady sales and brand awareness, but also slowly growing, so that we're kind of going back and forth between sales and projects. And a big conversation we've been having is looking at how to create steady brand awareness and steady sort of outreach, and not put the brakes on things when we get the new sales, so that we don't have those ebb and flows and we can continue to grow and scale.
Yep, and I think that this kind of brings up another interesting point that we've encountered for ourselves, which is sometimes when we're in the process of building campaigns, or we have campaigns ready to launch, we've actually shifted our priorities or shifted our goals and decided that we don't actually want to be targeting that line of business or that segment anymore, and we haven't launched the campaign. So if we've repackaged our services, if we have a new product or a new way of going to market for ourselves or for our clients that we think is better, we may ditch a campaign that's been waiting in the wings that we've had built out, and it might have been a great campaign, but we no longer want to sell that widget. We want to sell something different, or we want to sell websites in a different way, or marketing campaigns with a different type of strategy. And so we might hold back on the language or the messaging or the way that the campaign was built, because we've changed our goals and our priorities as a business and how we want to go to market. And so that's another reason that we've actively kind of abandoned campaigns that were pretty much ready to go.
What about campaigns for clients? I know we typically come up with probably 3 or 5 different campaigns, and usually only about 3 get launched throughout the year, maybe a 4th. And so there are ones that don't get through. Are there things that you've seen that hold those from getting launched?
Yes, definitely. And I think that there's a couple key places to look. One is in the production process of what actually goes into producing the materials needed for the campaign. If the organization is trying to run something themselves, or is not working with an agency that can provide a very clear structure and process for the actual production of all of the assets and elements needed for the campaign, there's a great chance that the idea of a great marketing campaign is really never going to come to fruition with all of the touch points that are needed for it to actually be successful.
So you're talking about someone that can be interviewed to create content, if it's a content marketing strategy, or someone who really understands what their budget is, and when we ask to put together a paid program, they're able to invest into that, or they understand what they're willing to spend on it. Those kind of things?
Yeah, I think that there's levels depending on how somebody is coming into the conversation. If this is a person who is working with an agency and they're trying to build out a plan with an agency, yes, it's a matter of making themselves available, making themselves able to have a clear approval process and work through approvals so that things can actually get done and get out in a timely manner. But sometimes people are trying to do things themselves, and they're trying to write their own emails and write their own taglines and create their own type of content for a campaign, and that could be hampering just the production itself for small people who are kind of bootstrapped trying to get it done. So part of it is just having a plan of understanding that you need a paid plan, that you need an email strategy, that you need all of these different things. And so the first step is having the plan, and then filling out the process of how is every single thing in the plan going to get done, and then what kind of support do you need to get there is kind of the next place you have to go.
And do you think it's a time issue? Do you think it's a lack of knowledge and understanding how to actually execute the tactics? And primarily for people who are implementing it themselves?
I think for people who are trying to implement it themselves, it's a combination of time and energy and fear that they're going to be spending their time and energy on the right tactic in the right way. And then if something does get launched and it does happen and it doesn't go well, understanding why or how to evaluate it and what happens next. And I think that there's a lot of kind of people who are waiting in the wings, debating what they should be doing. They know they should be doing something. They've got lots of ideas, and these things do take time. They do take energy, and without having somebody from the outside kind of coaching you towards what the right path is, it's hard to make the choices sometimes. We're in the habit of it because this is our business and this is what we do, is kind of coaching on these things and figuring out the right messaging and how to create positioning and brand that will resonate. But it's not a natural thing that comes to everybody, how to communicate in that way and how to talk about their own business, even if they are the expert. And I think that becomes a challenge in launching marketing campaigns for people sometimes.
Right. And something that I think about with our clients and kind of what happens as we go through this process is I start to notice a few different things. Why would a campaign not make it to getting launched? We definitely have had times where campaigns weren't approved. The idea was a little out there, it was a little out of the box, it wasn't in line with what the client was expecting. That doesn't really happen often. But a lot of times what will happen is we'll get very, very excited about a product or service. And we'll start to come up with ideas that are awesome ideas, but in execution become not feasible or very hard to implement. And so the really amazing mailer that folds 4 different ways, that includes a wine bottle and a cocktail glass giveaway, turns a 3-week project into a 3-month project. And, for some clients, that's sort of the timeline that will provide the value they need. And it does work for some of our clients. We definitely have clients that doing that kind of experience is worth it. However, other times it's a little overboard. And so we kind of try to balance having a very focused, simple strategy and plan that's easy to implement, that'll get results, with sometimes adding in elements that are a little out of the box.
Yeah, and this question is very interesting also because how many marketing programs did you not execute and why? That's a challenge that we face internally, and it's a challenge that we've kind of built our agency around helping other businesses overcome. And our strategies are kind of built in a way that we really should be having a strategic process to launch a certain number of marketing campaigns and be on a marketing program over the course of the year. And so a lot of the tactics and the strategies and the ways that we've been building our businesses to help alleviate this exact problem of people kind of internally spinning their wheels and building out marketing campaigns that never really work, or they don't have the full energy or attention and they never get launched on time, or things are seasonal and they kind of miss the boat because they're late. Lots of different challenges that people have and organizations have when they're trying to run their own marketing internally. We've been actively building out an agency to help that overcome those challenges and put the best marketing program in place possible for people who are a good fit, of course. And that's not everybody, but we've been working really hard to strategize with other businesses and create marketing programs that do get executed and we can alleviate the challenges that they're having. So while there are a ton of examples of why things don't get launched or ideas or campaigns, kind of get shut down, we do have a way to get a marketing program over the course of the year built out and executed, and that's been very exciting for us to see and kind of help businesses get over that hump of feeling like they're constantly thinking about campaigns or having campaign ideas that never really either yield results or come to fruition.
Right. Yeah, and I think that kind of reminds me of sort of on the organic content marketing side of things, what we're doing with the Gary Vee content model. And really thank you, Gary, we're taking what he said to do, and it's something we've kind of been doing all along, and it's not a new concept, but the way he communicates and articulates and put together a package to execute against and train against is kind of where the secret sauce is. And we've been using that because the idea of taking a macro piece of content, and whether it's interviewing an engineer or a content subject matter expert, or actually taking something they already have in place and then flipping it into multiple pieces of marketing content, a marketing landing page, getting into that rhythm and flow, there's more of a steady campaign all the time rather than something that doesn't get launched.
Yep, and kind of on the Gary Vee content model, it's all about giving your best educational content, really showing your customer you can help them by actually helping them and providing useful resources in a macro level with an hour-long podcast or webinar or ebook or something like that, and then breaking it down into all of the different pieces and putting it out there for your audience to learn from you so that they build their trust and they have lots of different touch points of engagement to build brand, and learn what you're all about so that when they do want to make a purchase, you're there for them and you're top of mind. And those type of campaigns really do work. It's a very simple concept that takes a lot of planning and strategy to actually execute, but if you're able to do it, it yields great results, and we're really excited about being able to do that for our customers and helping them not have the challenge of feeling like they're building out campaigns that are not getting launched, because that's a huge waste of time, and it's also a huge missed opportunity because the amount of exposure and attention you can get from these campaigns is incredible right now. So to be spinning your wheels building campaigns that aren't getting launched is really missing the boat here.
All right, well, I think that about wraps up this question and podcast for today. This was podcast number 2. Thank you, Jeff Stats, for the question. It was definitely a really great question. I enjoy answering this question. And really, it kind of boils down to setting very clear expectations if you're working with an agency or you're an agency working with a client for an approvals process, and making sure there aren't any roadblocks to getting things launched up front. And then kind of number 2, working on creating a strategic process and some sort of program, kind of like the Gary Vee content model, or some sort of flow that every time you're going to create marketing content or create a campaign, there's a strategic process or program in place that allows you to launch and execute. And then third, kind of keep that program and strategy as simple and focused as possible so that it's feasible to execute. And that's really the advice we have on this one today. We will be back with our third podcast shortly and a new question from our audience. Well, you just listened to podcast number 2 of the Matt and Matt Show. This is Matt from Hey Now Media, and we'll be back with podcast number 3. Stay tuned and have a great day.